Hello, welcome to the Football Hipsters podcast, your place for non-stop European League chatter. Keep your beard strong and your glasses trendy. We are here to get in your ears. Hello and welcome. This is episode 2 of the Football Hipsters podcast. I am your host, Kris, and as usual, I'm joined by my merry men. I've got Tom, Drew, and John here to talk about everything European football. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Evening.
Hey guys.
You say you last every week, Drew, but you never get in first.
I'm too tired to care at the moment. Let's just go on.
Okay, fair enough. Well, just let it go, he says. Let it go. Right. Well, good evening to you, gentlemen, and thank you all for joining me as usual. We've had a hectic hectic weekend, I should say, at the start of the season with so much going on. So we will waste no time because we've got Drew's league back as well this week. It's all going off. However, this week we are going to start in John's neck of the woods. We're going to start in Italy, and it's this week's Serie A roundup. Okay, John, so let's see what's been going on in Serie A this week. Now, we said last week there was lots and lots of goals. So this week there was no pressure to have lots and lots of goals. And there were lots and lots of goals once again. So let's start with Napoli and Milan, shall we? It was a 4-2 victory for Napoli in the end. But that didn't tell half the story of this game, did it?
No, and I'm going to have to start off with a small apology to Drew regarding a certain Mr. Milik, who I wasn't too keen on when he went to Napoli. I wasn't very impressed with him at the Euros, but he got the first 2 goals for Napoli. First one, to be fair, it was just good striker instinct, being in the right place at the right time. All the work was done by Dries Mertens, really. Donnarumma made a good save, but Milik was there for the tap-in. But the second goal was fantastic, really, really good header. Made the space for himself, great finish, put it in the top corner, and was very impressive in the game. As we said, Napoli's best player probably was Mertens, who actually got a rare start for once. Was really, really good. And Milan looked kind of shot, thought they were dead and buried, and then all of a sudden got 2 goals back. Niang getting 1, who was very good in the game, and then Suso, who probably was Milan's best player. Really, really impressive. Had a really good pre-season. Was hyped up quite a lot. Done very, very well. Unfortunately, as Milan like to do, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. Kuchka got himself sent off, second yellow. Niang also got himself sent off, although that was much later on. And Callejon getting the 2 goals for Napoli to wrap it all up. But yeah, Napoli looking much better. Milan, again, looking very exciting going forwards, but defensively they've got issues. Kuchka's sending off was very stupid, kicked the ball away and then arguing with the referee, getting a second yellow. Niang getting sent off for preventing Reina from throwing the ball out. Just really stupid errors to make in the game. But a really exciting game to watch, and result Napoli needed after their start of the season.
Two things I want to just bring up before we move on. One, I'm very concerned that Jose Callejon is wearing child's shirts. That shirt is way too small for him. I know he's
got a habit of doing that. Yeah,
he does. So I know he's an in shape young chap, but Jesus, that shirt is just wrong. And also, you said about Milan sort of shooting themselves in the foot and just going off basically. Talk to me about Romagnoli and what he was trying to do towards the end.
Yeah, it's funny actually because Callejon's goal, his last one, was awarded to him, although it probably should have been a penalty first. I assume Callejon would have got to take it. Basically, Callejon had the shot and... Mertens had the shot and it was going in. And Romagnoli sort of dived back, went to do a diving header, realised he wasn't going to get there and just grabbed the ball and tried to throw it out of the net. Sort of as it was going over the line, and Callejon tapped it in. And then there was a bit of confusion between what the ref was going to give. In the end, he awarded the goal and booked Romagnoli, and Romagnoli sort of thanked the ref after, because at this point Milan were down to 9 players. So a little bit embarrassing. Some real serious problems at centre-back at the moment for Milan, so they're trying to sort that out. And were it not for Donnarumma as well in goal, who made some amazing saves, it could have been more. But going forwards, they look fantastic, so something to work for with Montella there. But Sarri looking like he's getting his team sort of a bit more to what they were last season.
Absolutely. For any Arsenal or Sheffield United fans, think David Seaman in the Cup quarter-final, semi-final those years ago. That's what Romagnoli's save in quote marks was like. But good entertainment anyway. Good entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, that moves us on to the Sunday fixtures. A lot of games are being played in the evening at the moment in Serie A because of the heat. I must admit, I quite like it. So the Sunday fixtures were all played together, and one of the games that jumps off the page, John, was Cagliari 2, Roma 2. Roma haven't had the best week, I think it's fair to say. Dumped out the Champions League, more on that later. And then throwing away a 2-goal lead away at the newly promoted side. Was it justified? Because Cagliari probably won't get the credit they deserve. It'll be more about how Roma threw the game away.
They were actually very good. Roma went 2 goals up, got an early penalty, El Shawari being brought down. It was the right decision. Mauricio Isla with the foul early on, and Diego Perotti getting taking the penalty and scoring. And a really good goal from Kevin Strootman as well. Nice little dink into the box from Salah, Dzeko with a header down, and Strootman running in. Good finish. But in between those goals, Cagliari, they had a few chances, Borriello hitting the post as well, so they tested them a few times, but second half they just sort of fell apart, and Borriello got his goal eventually early on in the second half, and Sal scored a very, very good goal. It wasn't Sal. They thought it was Sal. He didn't actually get a touch. It was Isla. Put the ball in, and Sal actually just, when they float the ball into the back stick, he kind of did that, and Sal ran across the ball and looked like he got a little touch on it, but actually I don't think he did touch the ball, and I think the goal in the end ended up being credited to Isla, depending on where you look anyway. But they fought back really well. Disappointing for Roma after the midweek, obviously crashing out the Champions League. Spalletti has questioned the mentality of the players, which didn't take him long since he's been back there. So it's the question mark of, have Roma got the that mentality issue? Has it come back again to haunt them when they look like they've kind of, they've done quite well, got some decent signings in? The defence is still a little bit of a worry, still problems at fullback, but they brought in Vermaelen, they got Manolas, Perez has come in, done quite well, Strootman's fully fit, looked like he's playing fine, so Spalletti's got to fix something there, because there's definitely something wrong in their head in games. They just seem to switch off sometimes. But really, really good result for CAG, and sort of thing, getting a point at home against a big team like Roma is the thing they need to do if they want to stay in the league.
Yeah, definitely a point gained rather than one loss. Just very quickly on Roma before we move on, do you expect a fire sale ahead of the window? Because Champions League football, we all know how big that is, and there's a certain chap from Belgium with rather interesting hair who will be attracting attention of a late bid maybe, or even a Greek international at centre-back possibly. So can you see any of those jumping ship?
I'd be surprised if they let Manolas go now, just because they've got so many problems in defence. Obviously, it depends on the size of the bid. As for Nainggolan, he said he wants to stay and he seems committed, so I don't see why he would move. Also, as there seems to be a little bit of a spat between De Rossi and Spalletti in the moment, as he's taken the captain's armband off him, and it was actually Florenzi had it on for the game at the weekend. So I'm not sure he'd want to shake up the midfield too much. But you can never say never, because if someone comes in and chucks so much money at them, then they're not going to say no. Chelsea's still hunting for a defender, it seems, although it might be from another Serie A club that they'll be getting one, but Manolas was on the list.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens, because typically in Italy deadline days are not usually that busy, but I have a feeling they might be a little bit busier in this one, so we'll of course be across that in time for the next show. Right, let's have a look at another game then. Let's turn our attention to Torino and Bologna, where a certain chap that I've got quite a fondness for had a rather good day. Yes,
it was all about Belotti. Got himself a hat-trick, 5-1. I think I said in our preview that Torino might be the surprise sort of team, kind of package, maybe do a bit better than people thought this season. I'm basically going to disregard the rest of the season, just in case they're rubbish, and just look at this one performance and say I was absolutely spot on, just to justify what I said.
That's fine by us.
Yeah. But no, they were really good, Torino. They were fantastic. It's exactly what Mihajlovic wanted to do there. Exciting attacking football. I said this is a big season for Belotti. He looks like I think he's in the Italian squad. I will have to double check, but there was lots of talk that he's going to be Italy's big striker for the next 10 years or however long. And from this performance, it was great. I mean, one of the goals was from a throw-in. Just sort of shouldering off a defender, holding off, waiting for the ball to drop to the right place, and just a really good finish. But I say Bologna, and surprising as well against Bologna team that under Donadoni had been doing very well, and defensively hadn't really been ripped apart by that in games. Decent goal from Taider for Bologna, must be said, but yeah, free for Belotti. He even missed the penalty as well. And another player who was really impressive in the game, Daniele Baselli, who got himself a goal and was involved in pretty much everything good that Torino did. Very, very impressive in midfield. Bit of sad news though that Adam Ljajic got himself injured, unfortunately. But hopefully he'll be back before the international break. But yeah, really good performance from Torino. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on, because if they can bring out performances like that, then maybe they can trouble a European spot. And with Inter and Roma and a couple other teams seeming to be struggling, you never know, maybe there's a sneak into fourth or third, something like that.
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? You just never can tell with bees, as Winnie the Pooh once said, or in this case, teams. Let's have a look at some of the other results then. Anything else that sort of caught your eye from this weekend's results?
Not massively. 1-0 win for Juventus away at Lazio. Fairly routine. Perhaps struggled a little bit to get the finish. But 2-2 for Khedira. He got the goal. Very good goal it was. So he's in fine form. If they can keep him fit, that's important. De Boer got his first point as Inter manager. 1-1 against Palermo. Shouldn't really have been 1-1. Palermo got a lucky deflected goal, and Inter wasted chance after chance in that game. Very disappointing from a finishing perspective. But some good stats from it that I've forgotten his name now. Ava Banega, just after 2 games, has already created more chances than any other player in the league. So fitting in perfectly at Inter. So it's just, again, defence is the issue. Crotone, sadly, losing again at home, this time to Genoa. Fiorentina with a nice 1-0 winner home against Chievo. Carlos Sanchez's first goal for the club. Fiorentina could be losing Marcos Alonso. That is the defender that Chelsea are looking at. Samp, surprising everyone at the moment. Another win, 2-1 at home to Atalanta. Perhaps doing a little bit better than I thought. I gave them credit for. Udinese as well with a 2-0 win at home to Empoli. And Sassuolo, everyone's favourite club, 2-1 at home to Pescara. Good result, good win. Berardi unfortunately picked up an injury, could be out for 4 weeks. And Eusebio Di Francesco admitting that the European games are perhaps taking a toll on the team a little bit. But at the moment, it looks like they're coping with it okay.
Good stuff. And as far as news goes, only things to mention possibly are 2 transfers. Inter have signed João Mario. That's officially done.
Yep.
Thoughts on that one? Good bit of business, we think?
Yes, very good. Kia Joshabian is friends with or has some sort of dealings with the new owners, and he's the agent, I think, for João Mario, so I assume that's why the deal has gone through. But yeah, very good signing. Really impressed me in the Euros, so very happy with that. Not sure exactly where he's going to go in the team, because obviously got Kandreva and Perisic, but nice to have the options. The other move is Gabigol, Gabriel Barbosa, who I'd only seen at the Olympics, and I thought looked a very exciting prospect. There's still it's not quite clear on whether he's going to join now or in January. The talk is he's going to join now, so hopefully get to see him after the international break. The only other rumour sort of knocking around at the moment is that Balotelli might be going to Palermo.
Palermo, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't actually notice Palermo have also signed Diamante today.
Yes, they got Diamante.
And Hernan Perez, is it? Is it Hernan Perez?
Yes.
So there you go. And talk of an England goalkeeper off to Torino as well.
Joe
Hart,
yes,
apparently.
yes, I should say that. Yeah, Joe Hart to Torino. Looks like he's going to go through. which is quite a coup really for. I know people have differing opinions on Joe Hart, but he's very experienced and still quite young. So yeah, it's exciting for Torino.
Yes, yeah, we will, of course, keep you abreast of all the information with regards to what happens in the transfer window. We're either going to do a special or we'll cover it on the next podcast. So stay tuned, and if anything really dramatic happens, we will tweet about it on our account. So super, John. I won't ask you for another game for next week because obviously it's international break. But do you want to? Is it worth giving the table out? Probably not, but you can if you want to.
Yeah, I mean Genoa are top at the moment just by goal difference, but yeah, Genoa, Juve, Samp, Sassuolo, Roma, Napoli, Torino, top 7, Empoli, Crotone, Atalanta, and I'm sad to say Inter at the bottom 4 at the moment, but obviously very early days. I expect that to all be shuffled around after a few more games, but yeah, Genoa, Samp getting good starts, Torino as well. And Cagliari, getting that decent point. That's very good for them. Pescara already got a point as well, so kind of on schedule. I suppose if they're averaging sort of 1 point something, I think is the average you need a game to stay up. So they're doing okay. But Crotone, not the best start.
No, not at all. Okay, super. Right, well, we'll leave Italy there for the fortnight break. Obviously, who have Italy got, by the way, in the in this international break?
I have absolutely no idea. You can see how much attention I pay to international football.
Yes, we here at the Football Hipsters, we're so above international football. Sorry, boys and girls, but we simply don't care. Right, okay, we'll leave it there then for Italy, and we'll move on to sunny Spain and see what's going on in Tom's neck of the woods. It's this week's La Liga Roundup. Okay, Tom, so what's been happening in sunny Spain? Well, obviously there's been football happening, and you wanted to start off with a game that also featured quite a number of goals, and it wasn't Barcelona or Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, not that they ever score goals, we'll come on to that later, but Las Palmas and Granada. So what happened?
Yeah, it's an exciting game. I mean, last week we spoke about Sevilla, Espanyol, and the poor defensive display of both teams. It was certainly the case for one team in this game, and Granada defensively were like abhorrent. Is that the right word? They were dreadful. I'll use them all.
Yeah.
Abhorrent. Yes, that's the word. And they were just awful and couldn't defend. I mean, they brought in Paco Gémez as obviously he was at Rayo Vallecano, got relegated last season, who is a mad manager who loves attacking football, but seemingly cannot get his teams to defend. It finished 5-1. El Zar, the Moroccan, got 2 of the goals. Kevin Prince Boateng, obviously ex-Portsmouth, AC Milan, Schalke midfielder who's come in for the side, who scored last week, scored again this week. Momo and Araujo got the other goals, and Jeremy Boga got the goal for Granada. It was probably the goal of the game. It equalised it at 1-1 just before half-time. From outside the box, and he's an under 19 player who looks quite a talent, but Granada just don't have the quality to beat sides at the moment. They've avoided the drop for so many seasons now. It does feel that this season could be finally the time where they do go down.
Yeah, tough times. And Jeremy Boga, of course, at Rennes last year, on loan from Chelsea. I think he's still on loan. Good little player. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on there. And good to see Kevin Prince Boateng still doing things. I forget he's as old as he is, but hey ho. Right, let's move on to another game then. Your boys, Espanyol, or Espanoli, as I've just written here. Not quite sure what I was writing there.
Oh, God.
They faced Malaga. 2 things from this game then. Give us a roundup of the game itself, and also Malaga about to lose their prize jewel to Tony Pulis.
Yeah. So the game itself, it finished 2-2, but Espanyol should have come away with the points. Obviously, embarrassing, I've already mentioned the loss against Sevilla 6-4 last week. Went 2-0 up through. We brought in Leo Baptistao from Villarreal. From Atletico Madrid, who was on at Villarreal last season. And he seemingly throughout pre-season would be the star, but it's Gerard Moreno has stepped up and scored both goals in this game. First effort was a deflected effort, second was a header, and we had a goal ruled out for offside in the first half as well. And we just decided that we couldn't keep him out. Llorente scored the first for Malaga in the 67th minute, and then the 90th minute, Charles, the Brazilian striker who was so good for Malaga last season, scored so many goals for them and really did that recovery boost up the table rather last season, was the man who got the 90th minute goal. And it was just disappointing that we couldn't keep the 3 points for us, and it's that promising start we thought with all this money and signings coming in, it's falling away gradually. But no, I mean, Camacho is the man that you mentioned there, who's seemingly off to West Brom. This is apparently a 18 million euro buyout clause has been activated, which is more than I originally thought it was, in fairness, but still it's still in my eyes is a bargain. The guy was injured for the first half of last season, came back in, and Malaga's fortunes turned around in an instant, and they shot up the league and finished in the top half of the table. So to lose him will be massive. And to be honest, to go to West Brom, it's a strange one. I thought he could do better, but we'll have to see how he does. So he'll be suited to the Premier League anyway.
Yeah. I must admit, I thought I wasn't necessarily convinced he'd be a top four type of side, but someone like an Everton or, you know, dare I say it, a Spurs or even a Southampton, I thought maybe. But still, he'll no doubt enjoy 0-0s at home to Middlesbrough in the coming months. So good luck with that one. The other game we want to talk about, though, this one isn't really about the goals, but more about the repercussions of losing a certain player. We speak, of course, of Deportivo, who've sold their main goal scorer and captain Lucas Perez to Arsenal, and they went away to Betis. And on the face of it, a 0-0 draw you'd think would be a good result, but you wanted to just touch on their lack of creativity in letting Perez go.
Yeah, I mean, it finished 0-0, and it was a game which, I'm going to be honest, and you know what I'm like for back in La Liga and that, but it was quite a painful watch in the evening, as all the matches at the moment seem to be at minimum 5 o'clock start in the afternoon. So, I mean, right up till 9 o'clock kickoff, so it's a late kickoff. But this one was quite a drag, didn't contain that much in all from either side. I mean, Deportivo had one shot on target. They lack creativity anyway, so to lose Lucas Perez to Arsenal is going to be massive. They brought in Andone, who's come in and he's done okay. He didn't really perform to what they'd expect Lucas Perez to do. He's not the quick, nippy and slightly creative striker that they've lost in Perez, but he's a man who can bag goals, so they hope that he will get them up through the season. But for them, it was a case of not letting Betis score. With Sanabria and Ruben Castro, they were a menace. But both sides, for me, they contain creativity in a lot of their young players. Obviously, Charles Masunda, who came on for Betis, who's on loan from Chelsea, another Chelsea loanee player, came on and instantly had a shot from outside the box that just went wide. And it's just that spark and pace and creativity that both of these sides lack in their midfield, which they could do with. Deportivo, I've got Miles Moreno in, who was in Colombia last season, has gone to Manchester City and has now been sent on loan to Deportivo. He's a player I feel could do something for them. Very nippy, creative, and can score goals. So they both got it in their teams. It's just whether their managers will obviously. It's Garitano, who used to be the old Eibar manager, is now in charge of Depor, and he knows a thing or two about getting teams up through the leagues, as he's done with Eibar. So hopefully he'll identify the players he needs to get in. But it's for both of these teams, they just need goals, and it's not coming at the moment.
No, tough times for them. Just briefly, we did have a question. Feel free to name drop this person. I'm not sure. I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked you a question, I believe an Arsenal fan, on what Arsenal will get from Lucas Perez. So do you want to just answer that question, give that person a shout?
Yeah, while I'm quickly looking on our likes, it was Chennai Guna. How will Lucas Perez suit Arsenal? In terms of Perez himself, he's a player that I'm very excited about signing for Arsenal as an Arsenal fan. He's been likened to Vardy. He's not that quick, and he's not that much of a dick either. But he's a creative player for a striker. He got 10 assists last season, and he will create goals for other players. Versatile, can play on the right-hand side of the attacking three in midfield, and he's a good finisher. And he's also got a bit of build to him as well, so he won't get pushed off the ball too easily, I hope. But no, I'm excited about it. 17 million is an absolute steal. And I've heard people like Sid Lowe and whatnot speak that it's a good signing, but it's not a signing that will turn Arsenal into title and Champions League contenders on the face of it. But I'm hoping that from what I've seen from Lucas Perez, he can come in and surprise a lot of people and really do a job for Arsenal that we've not really had a striker in his mould since probably Eduardo. So it'll be certainly interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth there. And Eduardo wasn't really a well-known striker, and he did all right, didn't he? So, yes, keep the faith, Arsenal fans, keep the faith. And what about the rest of the results in this weekend's La Liga? Because we had a kind of a dull win for Barcelona. Well, I say dull, it's a bit harsh, but
Rob won't interviewed.
Atletico Madrid, though, I mean, yeah, they were dull. Come on. So, how did the big three get on, and what were the other results?
Yeah, so I'll go from top to bottom. I mean, Osasuna lost 2-0 at home to Real Sociedad. Eibar beat Valencia, which was a game which was really quite interesting, quite evenly matched. The best chances fell to Valencia, and they wasted a lot of them. And Eibar then scored. Well, it wasn't a penalty; they missed a penalty and scored the rebound, and that's how they won that. So Valencia seemingly even more trouble. Real Madrid beat Celta Vigo 2-1. Quite cagey. Obviously, they're without Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo at the moment, and Morata and Asensio are infilling. First goal shouldn't have counted. Morata was offside in the build-up, and then came on the end of a little small muck-up, I'll forgive him, from Asensio, and smashed it in. Oriana got the equaliser, which was a storming effort from outside the box, and then it was won in the last few minutes by Kris of a wonderfully placed shot. As you say, Atletico Madrid was not a great watch. It was quite dire. Neither team really formed, or Leganes in particular didn't form anything of a chance. Atletico Madrid formed some. Griezmann's volleyed effort that hit on the left-hand side and hit on the volley across the keeper was saved brilliantly, but that was probably the best chance of the game. Gamero didn't really get a sight at all. Had one where he tricked inside the box, not a shot, but that was about it. Deportivo Alaves, the new side, drew 0-0 Sporting Gijon. Nothing great in that. Athletic Club Bilbao lost 1-0 at home to Barcelona, as you said. Sorry, Rob, our person we interviewed. Although it was, to be honest, I thought Bilbao made a good showing themselves. It's decent. Rakitic got the goal for Barcelona, headed finish, and Suarez should have scored, but had one blocked off the line. It was a good game, and it was, to be honest, it was quite an admirable performance from Bilbao to keep them out for so long, and well, not keep them out for so long. They scored in the 20 to 30 minutes, but I mean that they kept them out so much, and it was quite a good showing. And the final game, which was Villarreal Sevilla, finished 0-0. So it was a game of a weekend of 0-0s, and not great. Complete contrast to last weekend, but no, it's starting to form the table how it goes. Other than Las Palmas, because they are storming.
Yeah, they really are on fire, aren't they? Of course, I'm sure it will level itself out. But yeah, one thing to take from that Atletico Madrid game as well. I'm not having Simeone's clean-shaven perm thing. That it just looks weird. He looks like a supply teacher at the moment. All he needs is one of those jackets with tweed patches. Yeah, not having that. Not having that. Kit's nice though. Right. Okay. What do you want to? Again, do you want to give us a table? I know it's early days.
Yeah.
But people are intrigued, aren't they?
Yeah, top five. I can actually do top five now instead of doing the old top eight I used to do last season. But at the top we got Las Palmas, 6 points with 9 goals they've scored, plus 6 goal difference. Same as them with Barcelona and Real Madrid, also on 6 points after their 2 wins. Deportivo still 4th, but I'd expect that to change throughout the season after losing Perez. Sevilla are 5th, so that's the race for 4th in their favour. Bottom 5, Celta Vigo in last place. Lost both games. Athletic Bilbao also lost both games. Valencia also lost both games. So 3 clubs you'd expect to finish much higher up the league in the bottom 3 at the moment. Granada and Espanyol are on 1 point each and in 17th and 16th. So it's going to change a lot, but there are some teams placed where you'd expect to finish.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, I think, this year. But any other news or any other business that you've seen coming up? Anything that's caught your eyes on this transfer period as well that we haven't mentioned already?
Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out of Real Madrid at the moment. James Rodriguez is, I mean, there's rumours flying about he could be going to Chelsea. There's Arsenal rumours that he could be in for him. Also, Isco to Tottenham. Interesting, but no, I think it'll be pretty quiet. I don't think there'll be massive moves. But you know, anything can happen in football.
Yeah, true that. I'll ask you the same as what I asked John. Do you even care? Do you know who Spain have got in these upcoming window breaks?
No. I don't know.
Good. At least we're staying regular here. I hope Drew doesn't.
Asensio got called up though.
Oh, well, that's good.
Asensio got called up for the squad. So yeah.
Good stuff. See, we're calling it first here. We said you said all last season, didn't you, how good he was going to be, and look what's happened.
Yeah.
Calling it first. Okay, right. We've got a couple of questions later on, so we'll be back to you for those from our lovely listeners. Right, let's move on then. And Drew, you're not last, as I'm coming to you next for a little German flavour. It's week 1 of the Bundesliga. Right then, Drew. So, lots going on in the Bundesliga. It's the first weekend. Naturally, there was quite a few goals, because there always is in German football. We'll touch on Bayern Munich a little bit later on, but you can probably guess how they got on. But we want to start with Gladbach, John's boys, and Leverkusen. A victory for the home side in what turned out to be quite an entertaining game.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it last week that Gladbach are very, very strong at home, and that sort of rang true. They ran out 2-1 winners. Andre Hahn got the opener, and then Joel Pohjanpalo got the equalizer on 79 minutes, but Lars Stindl got the win on 85 minutes. It was a good performance. I thought it's a good early season test for a side who is looking to establish themselves as a regular in the top 4 against one of the rivals who are looking to do the same. Roger Schmidt, he went with a 4-4-2. He actually was playing Hakan Çalhanoğlu sort of as second striker alongside Kevin Volland. And instead of opting to start Julian Brandt, who was at the Olympics, he went with Kevin Campbell on the left, and that proved to be not the greatest selection choice. But Leverkusen, they were sort of bare bones on the bench. So Brandt and Ahmed Mehmedi they were kind of the only options they could really bring, even though Pohjanpalo came off the bench and got the goal. They were kind of lacking from the usual depth that they had, but in comparison to Gladbach, who they had Fabian Johnson come off the bench, Torgen Hazard come off the bench and actually got an assist. They also had Jonas Hoffmann, Patrick Herrmann, and Mahmoud Dahoud all on the bench. So Gladbach's sort of sporting the fact that they can rotate the squad as they saw fit. Schubert went with a 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2 actually. Tony Jenske, Christensen, and Nico Elvedi were the back 3. Then he had Christoph Kramer and new signing Tobias Strobel as the holding midfielders, and then Oscar Wendt and Traore were bombing up the wings. Lars Stindl was playing behind Raphael and Andre Hahn, who were the 2 center forwards, and it worked out really well for them. Possession was even, chances were even, but at the end of the day, Gladbach were more ruthless in front of the net for the second one, and then that's it. So it's a good first test pass by them. It's a long season, but if they can put in performances like that against their rivals or teams who were expected to finish around them, they're going to have an improved season last year, which was a good season within itself. So.
Yeah, it's a good start there for Gladbach. I know John will be happy, and something else John will be happy with, although he started on the bench, Mahmoud Dahoud is, for me, one of the best talents in European football right now. The kid is just, every time he's on the pitch... They had to give
him a rest after he ripped young boys apart coming off the bench. Sorry, carry on.
Not literally, we should stress. He wasn't actually assaulting children, the team in Switzerland, of course. But yes, just such a good player, and hopefully he sticks around for John's benefit. Let's move then to Augsburg, who played host to Wolfsburg. Now, we said on the preview pod, Drew, we don't really know what we're going to get from Wolfsburg this season. A team that are kind of a bit all over the shop monetarily, squad-wise, just everything-wise, really. But they got off to a good start with a pretty comfortable away victory in the end.
I mean, it's going to be one of those things where Wolfsburg, this was the way they wanted to start this season under Dieter Hecking. And in the same token, it's going to raise questions for Augsburg now that Marcus Weinzel is at Schalke. You wonder how Augsburg are going to respond under a different manager with maybe a slightly different approach than Weinzel had, and he doesn't have sort of the pace and the pulse of his players that Weinzel had. So, and Augsburg are usually strong at home, but it was a very, very good performance from Wolfsburg. I thought that apart from Yannick Gerhardt, he made his debut. Apart from that, I thought everyone who started the match with Wolfsburg actually played quite well. You have a little bit of pressure being taken off of Julian Jackson now because they brought in Dana Didavi from Stuttgart, who got relegated. So you have an extra attacking player behind the center forward who can now be direct and creative, which I think is, I don't know, I wouldn't say necessarily key to potentially having them rebound from last season, but we spoke about last year that you saw the difference between when they had Kevin De Bruyne there and then after he left to City, you saw just how much they were missing an extra attacking player who could really be a focus for the attack that wasn't just Draxler. And now that you have Andre Schürrle also left, so Draxler and Didavi, I think they're going to be kind of key for them moving forward. And the center forward issue is going to be an issue because Bastos, he's no longer actually at the club. So, I'm sorry, he's still there, but he went to Sporting.
Yeah, he's not going to be there for long, is he?
Yeah, he's going to Sporting in Portugal. So now the question of who's going to be running the center forward channel for them, that's a big. And then will they replace him in time? Or are they going to have to maybe do like a makeshift center forward thing? Wolfsburg aren't exactly, they sold some players, but they're still struggling financially. So I think while it was a good opening weekend performance, they even got the clean sheet and they struggled with that last year. I think the issue for them is going to be, where the goal is going to come from. Bastos didn't score, but he's always so good at running the center forward channels, taking the ball down and playing in someone like a Didavi or a Jackson who like to make runs off the center forward. If they don't have someone like that, who can really do that efficiently enough, they might score. I know they bought Bruno Henrique last January window, but he's not bedded into the league nearly as well. He's not as good at those things as Bastos is. So I think that's going to be the question moving forward with them as we progress through the season. But if you ask Dieter Hecking, would he take a 2-0 away for the first match of the season, I think he'd absolutely say yes. So that's all that, he's happy with that for sure. But I think still some questions they need to be answering moving forward in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, big tough times ahead, and it will be interesting to see how all things settle once that window is shut and see who's actually left and who's gone. Let's talk about a game I watched, actually really enjoyed as well, and that was Hoffenheim against the controversially named RB Leipzig. Red Bull Leipzig, of course, being forced to be called RB Leipzig. I have to be honest, I was quite impressed with RB Leipzig. I thought they were, for a team that obviously a lot's expected of them, and that can kind of come with its own pressures in that, yes, they are financially doped, allegedly. They have a lot of money, let's put it that way, and a lot's expected, but that brings its own pressure. And I thought they handled it really quite well. And Hoffenheim, yeah, they're Hoffenheim, aren't they? You just never know what you're going to get. What did you make of both sides, and specifically RB Leipzig?
Honestly, I feel like on the surface of it, this is a match that RB Leipzig should have won. I thought they were actually pretty wasteful. They had a lot of chances. They tested Olivier Baumann 9 times, 9 shots on target. Hit woodwork once. They had 7 shots blocked as well. So credit to Hoffenheim for getting in front of the shot. But I thought they created more than enough chances to go on and win. And I think it's positive signs. It's tough for a newly promoted side to come in and always maybe get the 3 points on the first day. Maybe they expected it because Hoffenheim struggled last year, but Julian Nagelsmann will have a bit of a different team this season, and not necessarily with personnel, but more so the fact that now he's had time at the club. He's had all of the second half of last season. He's had the summer. He did bring in a couple additions, and they played pretty okay. Sancho Wagner made his debut. Philip Kramaric came back in the summer, and he started on the left. Lucas Frupp started in the center midfield 3, and Philip Ox, the young left back / left winger, he started at left back because Jeremy Toyan was just at the Olympics. He did quite well. I know John can attest to that. So he actually got started. I thought everybody played pretty well for Hoffenheim, but RB Leipzig, this is what I mentioned last week, that they're only okay at the back. They were missing players like Lucas Klosterman. He was also at the Olympics, so he didn't feature. He was rested, but they have a lot of attacking talent. Timo Werner started up with Yusuf Poulsen as a center forward pair. Marcel Sabitzer played as well. Dominic Kaiser did quite well. They also brought off Emil Forsberg and Who am I thinking of? What's his name? Davy Selke. Both of them came off the bench. Forsberg came off the bench and actually, did he get an assist off the bench? Or no, he didn't. He just played quite well. But they have a lot of attacking options where they might not keep a lot of clean sheets this season. They don't have a great goalkeeper as well. Their back four is only decent, but they have the ability, there's the firepower to these are the kind of matches you might see from them. They might get a lot of 2-2s, 3-3s. And if they win, they might get a lot of 3-2s. So for them, that might have to be the profile moving forward in their first season until they can actually maybe assess and really target improvement in the back four. But I thought it was a good showing from them. I think they're always going to improve when they get, players back and fit. They'll see a couple players come into the 11 that should be there. But I thought they did okay. But I thought they should have won as well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of summing it up. I'd say it was quite an entertaining game, and it showed the promise that RB Leipzig probably have. And I got a sneaky feeling they might finish sort of top end of the Bundesliga rather than middle end, as some people suspect. So we shall see. We'll keep a tab on that. What was the other results from the weekend? Anything else that caught your eye from the other games?
I know you want me to mention the Bayern Munich match, but is it really a shock? Werder Bremen didn't. We talked about it on our preview pod. Werder Bremen didn't really, I think, target strengthening at the back enough. And it showed. They lost 6-0. I know Bayern are, when they're at home, they're next to impossible to beat, but you would think that you wouldn't, surrender 6 on day one, but Werder Bremen did. So again, this is why a lot of people are pegging them to not avoid the job this time. And I think it's, same questions have not popped up. So moving forward, Dortmund 2-1 at home against Mainz, which is a very tricky first match of the season, but they passed the test. I didn't think Dortmund was particularly impressive, though. I thought they were just okay. But again, they brought in a ton of new players. Tuchel's got to really figure out what his best 11 is, maybe what he has to do with some of the younger players. But they got the 3 points, so 3 points are 3 points. Moving forward, that he's going to be happy with that. SC Köln won 2-0 at home against Darmstadt. Eintracht Frankfurt, even though they had a man sent off, won 1-0 home against Schalke. So not the greatest first match for Marcus Weinzel in charge. Hamburg 1-1 against Ingolstadt in Hamburg. And then Hertha Berlin won 2-1 at home against Freiburg. And then that's the rest of that's it. So
Good stuff. Okay, and two interesting things from Germany that I spotted this week. I don't know if you saw this. There was the tweets back and forth between Lewandowski and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang about the Golden Boot. And also, I don't know if you saw this. Lewandowski actually scored a hat trick with a hole in his boot. Did you see this?
I didn't see the hole, but I heard about it.
Yeah, he had a massive rip in the hole of his boot. So he's obviously that good. He can play without any protection on his feet. So jolly good. He's obviously warming up nicely for his move to Arsenal, which is going to happen soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay, let's have again. It's week 1. Who cares? But go on, just for the sake of fun. What's the table?
Okay, well, Bayern are top. Tied on points with Wolfsburg, FC Köln, Hertha Berlin, Gladbach, Dortmund, and Frankfurt. That's the top 7. Bottom 3, Augsburg 16th, Darmstadt 17th, and Werder Bremen 18th. So there you go.
Superb. Okay, right. We will leave the Bundesliga there then for this week. And shall I ask you, Germany? I actually know who Germany are playing this week. Only
I do too. So
they're playing Finland, aren't they?
Yeah, Finland Wednesday at home, and then they have World Cup qualifying against Norway on Sunday, away to Norway. So there you go. And then they don't play again until October. Czech Republic and Northern Ireland in October. So there you go.
So that must just prove that you are far more hipster than us lot, because you still follow. To be fair, Germany are worth watching, unlike England. So fair enough. Okay, right. Let's move on then, and I'll take a trip to France now, and I'm going to send the hosting duties all the way over to John, and it's this week's roundup of Ligue1.
Hello. So we'll start with Liga. Kris, before we start, I actually bothered to look up who Italy are playing, and they're playing France.
Oh, very good. See, you've stolen my thunder because I was going to mention it, but thanks, John. Brilliant.
Sorry.
Good
There you
work.
go.
Cheers,
so
mate.
That game actually is probably worth it's worth watching, but never
It
mind.
is.
So Liga is match day 3, isn't it? This past weekend. So we'll start off with newly owned Marseille. Is that correct? Has that all gone through now? Have they taken over, haven't they? Is that not?
No, it's still kind of a bit messy. There's basically there's a lot of smoke, a lot of fire, but nobody's really confirming anything. The president still wants to sell, but the Icelandic chap whose name escapes me, Lopez, is it? Hasn't been officially dealt with yet. So
okay.
We're still waiting for
soon
that
to be
confirmation.
sold, Marseille. I should say then.
That'll do.
How did they get on this weekend?
Well, they were playing Lorient, so of course they got a comfortable victory. Boo. I'm really worried about my boys, more on them in a second. But no, Marseille, I mean, they won 2-0. It wasn't the best watch. Fairly scrappy game on the Friday night. Remy Cabella scoring the opener with a free kick, and Bafétimbi Gomis, remember him? He popped up with the second after missing a catalogue of chances earlier on in the game. With 20 minutes to play, and Lorient, just kind of rolled over a little bit. They had a go second half and probably were the better side, but just couldn't fashion proper chances or indeed take them. Marseille, they're an enigma. They're a bit of an odd beast. There's a lot of talk that when this takeover does happen, if indeed it does happen, of course, there's a lot of talk that they are going to heavily sort of bolster the squad. There is actually a lot of talk they're going to go for one of Tom's favourites, actually. Yevgen Konoplyanka apparently has been lined up to be brought in. Apparently Sevilla are not that bothered about losing him now, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, Marseille they haven't really been tested, and I still think that they're a long way short of what they need to be. But a victory over Lorient will help at least. And as for my boys, Les Mulots, I think they're in trouble. I've got to be honest. I predicted a comfortable sort of mid-table finish pre-season when I was speaking to Rich on the pod. But having seen 3 games, I'm very concerned they're going to lose Makanju in this window. They might even lose Majid Waris, which are their 2 forwards. As much as I like Benjamin Jano, he's not ready to lead the line on his own. I really like the captain, the now captain Benjamin Lecomte in goal. But other than that, it's a bit of a bitty squad, and I'm a bit worried that they're shipping goals and look far too open. So I hope I'm wrong, but I might be reporting on a Ligue 2 side next year. But at least they've got a nice third kit. It is lovely. Do look it up.
Always with the kits. They've only shipped 8 goals in 3 games. I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
that's an average of almost 3 games. So yeah.
Now we'll move on to Dijon Lyon. This probably would have been the sort of most talked about fixture or result, of the weekend, were it not for a certain game on Sunday, which we'll get to in a minute. But a surprise loss for Lyon, fair to say.
Yeah, really surprising, actually. Really surprising, because Lyon were in front. Corentin Tolisso put them in front after sort of save at the back post. It kind of spilled out to him, and he fired them in front. At that stage, you thought, oh yeah, fairly comfortable. Lyon will continue on this winning streak they've had at the start of the season. Equalised Sammarantino, got the equaliser from the penalty spot just 4 minutes later. And yeah, okay, you thought game on, but then Alex Lacazette, as usual, popped up. It's the first goal he's had assisted by Nabil Fekir since his return, so that partnership was back blossoming again, and he was back amongst the goals, and all seemed to be rosy at half-time. However, we had Lacazette was forced off through injury, and Salernitano's assist for Tavares made it 2-2. In fact, that was just before halftime, I should say. So at 2-2 at halftime, and then losing Lacazette to a knee injury, which is rumoured to keep him out for 2 to 3 weeks. Either that or Olas is just trolling the transfer market to make sure he doesn't move, one of the two. But he was substituted, and Mathieu Valbuena, who's apparently going to go to Spain, that's the latest, he came on at half-time, and Lyon just didn't look the same side. And it was around about 10-15 minutes to go to the end of the game, and Bahamboula put Dijon in front, 73rd minute, and Les Mulots got the fourth and clinching goal with just 2 minutes from time. So it's a real setback this for Lyon. I think their squad is still very, very good, but there is a lot of young players in the side. If you look at their sort of starting lineup, Younger Bia is kind of one of the veterans, which says it all. When you're looking at sort of Sergi Darder, Clarentine Tolisso, Fekir, Cornet, there's a lot of young players in that side. And for me, I'm just not convinced that they had the experience to see out a game that they were fairly comfortable in at 1-0 and 2-1, and then shipped goals and then ultimately fell apart when they lost their main man. So worries for Bruno Genesio, I think it's fair to say, and in a game that Lyon, I have to say, dominated as well, and 6 shots to 1 on target, 10 corners to 2, 62% possession, and somehow lost the game. So concerns for Lyon, but a great result for Dijon, and this will be a bonus result for them, because I doubt whether they would have expected to have beaten one of the big 3 at home.
Yeah, very surprising result. Bit worrying for Lyon, not just Lacazette, but Fekir also picked up an injury, got fluid on the knee, and
Yes.
I think Anthony Lopez has just been pulled out of the Portuguese squad as well through injury. So stacking up at the moment.
And both Fekir and Lacazette have both dropped out of the French squad as well. They've both been pulled out, which is unfortunate because they've only just got back in. So it is worrying times.
Now, as you said, that probably would have been the most talked about result of the weekend, were it not for a little game between Monaco and PSG. The strange thing about it is the fact that PSG didn't win. What happened? What? What happened? The first thing to say in this is that Monaco were excellent. Full credit to them. They really were excellent. They were set up really well. They played against the sort of threat of PSG particularly well. They actually played in kind of a 4-4-1-1 formation with João Moutinho sort of floating behind Germain, who I have a real thing. I love Valérien Germain. I'm glad he's back and playing. But and they've deployed Sidibe in front of Raji on sort of right midfield to try and compensate against the likes of Di Maria and Lucas on those wide sides. And tactically, they got it absolutely spot on. They were first to challenges. They were better in the air. They were better in a defensive setup, and they were just a better side. They went one up through João Moutinho. They were 2 goals up just before, and this was the key goal really, Fabinho's penalty after David Luiz, who'd have thought, made a complete mess of some defensive play, and Fabinho slotted the penalty. He's a very good penalty taker, by the way. And 2-0 at half-time. Edinson Cavani. Edinson Cavani. He scored probably the hardest of the chances he had with a little flicked header on 63 minutes. Also completely screwed up at least 4 chances once again in this game. Had a very strong flea in his ear from Marco Verratti, who was very visibly shown on the TV coverage to sort of suggest that Cavani was, quote, not moving very much. Do look up that footage, it's quite amusing. And then Serge Aurier put through his own net, deflecting across into his own net with 10 minutes to go to seal the points for Monaco. And Tom will tell you, Unai Emery is not the best at away fixtures as a manager, and lo and behold, first away game for PSG, ship 3 goals and lose. In a weird way, it's a perfect result for Ligue 1 because it does prove that maybe this season might be not quite as cut and dry as usual. But the trouble is, there aren't too many Monacos that are going to be able to do to PSG what they did. So full credit to Monaco. It's not panic stations for PSG, but a defeat like this, and in the way they lost it, will be cause for some concern. I think it's probably fair to say. Yeah, I heard some people talking and saying that Sirigu might have made a save where Kevin Trapp perhaps didn't. Perhaps a little bit inexperienced in the back line as well with Kimpembe. Any idea on sort of timescale of Thiago Silva coming back? And obviously Marquinhos is just kind of being eased back in, isn't he, after the Olympics?
Yeah, Marquinhos was back on the bench, so I would imagine he'll be fairly soon returning. Thiago Silva, I think it's another month or so that he's likely to be out, so that's a bit of a worry. I do agree on the Kevin Trapp thing. I've got to be honest, I don't rate Kevin Trapp as highly as many. I don't think he's particularly good. Drew might be able to speak more on that than me, but he never really convinces me. I think he's another one of these modern day goalkeepers who's very good with his feet and he's a good shot stopper, but he flaps at crosses and he doesn't exactly organise his defence too well. So he's a Guardiola type of goalkeeper, not a type of goalkeeper that has a David Luiz in front of it. The goalkeeper that I would have it. In fact, I'll make a quite a sweeping statement. I think before the end of the season, Alphonse Areola will be PSG's number one goalkeeper. I'll call that now.
Oh, there you go. Get your money on it, people. Oh no, actually, we don't encourage gambling. Sorry, don't do that.
No, of course, no.
You just want to run through the other results for us, any that sort of stood out for you from the weekend.
Yes, of course. So we mentioned one of the promoted clubs in Dijon. Let's have a look at the other two. So we had Metz winning 2-0. So Metz, another victory for Metz, superb. Fallet and Milan getting the winners over Angers, who are still struggling. They're still pointless. I love that expression because it makes them sound like they're not supposed to be here, but they have no points is what I'm getting at. Nancy, they unfortunately lost, and they're also pointless. They lost at home to Guingamp by 2-0 Diao and Gires. For Guingamp, who've had a decent-ish start to the season, I think it's fair to say, because they're currently top of the league. Hey, won't last. Montpellier and Rennes, they came to a 1-1 draw. Dicabi equalising Congré's opener for Montpellier. Nice and Lille. Nice still unbeaten under Lucien Favre with Vincent Colciello. Future star, I think, here. He scored the opener and Berrier got the equaliser for Lille. Good goal, actually, that. And Caen beat Bastia by 2-0. Ferre and Basile with the goals there. And on the Sunday games, Bordeaux beat Nantes 1-0. Diego Roland with the goal there. And St Etienne and Toulouse played out a snooze fest. That one ended 0-0.
Oh, lovely job. And as you mentioned there, Guingamp top of the table at the moment. Obviously we're not going to pick out a fixture. Just want to give out some of the league table for us.
Yeah, so as you say, Guingamp technically top with Monaco and Nice. All three have got 7 points. Lyon 6, PSG 6, Cannes 6, Metz 6, and Bordeaux 6. That's your top 8 technically. Down at the bottom, let's say 3 clubs in the relegation zone as we speak, all pointless: Nancy, Lorient, and Angers. Boo-hoo. And then just above, Nantes and Bastia and Dijon have only got 3 points each as well. So that's kind of the early stages of the table. And as far as news, there's not a lot going round. Just to mention briefly on the transfer front, Andy Delors on-off, will he, won't he transfer to Mexican side Tigres? Looks like that is going to happen now. Apparently the two clubs have reached an agreement, so it looks like that one will be happening. And also there is talk that Clement Grenier, who some people might remember as one of the next big things in French football, it looks like he's going to go on loan to Nice from Lyon. So it would appear that he's going to be off. Maybe even Lassana Diarra might be off as well. He's been linked with Galatasaray, but he wants more money. So things are happening in France as far as transfers go. I expect it to be a busy Wednesday.
Oh, very good. Well, that's League One all over, so I'll give it back to you, mate.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that's the trip around the leagues. We will, however, do this week's best of the rest. I'm going to swing back to you, John, because unlike usually, or you do the best of the rest, where we cover like another league that's going on, or bring people up to speed with a certain sort of performance of the week or whatnot from another country. But this week, as we mentioned in last week's pod, we had the draws for both the Champions League and the Europa League. So we're not going to cover them in too much detail, but we feel it's only right that we read out who's got who. So let's start with the Champions League.
Okay, Group A is Arsenal, FC Basel, PSG, and PFC Ludogorets, Bulgarian team. Am I right? I think.
Yes.
Yep. Group B, you've got Besiktas, Dinamo Kiev, Benfica, and Napoli. Nice group there for Napoli. Hopefully, you can get through that. Group C, poor old Celtic, and Gladbach for me. Both in the group together, sadly, with Barcelona and Manchester City. nice return for Pep there, but I think we can all guess which two will be going out of that group. Group D, another very exciting group. Atletico de Madrid, Bayern Munich, Rostov, and PSV Eindhoven. Again, top two pretty clear in that one. I think Rostov might be the whipping boys in that group. Group E, you've got Monaco, Leverkusen, CSK, and Spurs. I actually think that's probably going to be the hardest group to call. I think that will be really close. Group F, you've got Borussia Dortmund, Legia Warsaw, Real Madrid, and Sporting Club de Portugal. Group G, you've got Club Rouge, Copenhagen, FC Porto, and new to the Champions League, Leicester City. I don't think they could have picked a better group, to be honest. They've got a really good chance of going through to the knockout stages, which would be very good for them. And last group, you've got Dinamo Zagreb, Juventus, Lyon, and Sevilla. Again, Juve quite happy with that draw, and I think either Lyon or Sevilla have got a good chance of going through to the knockouts from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever drops into the Europa League will probably be one of the favourites in that group as well, I would imagine. So, yeah. Tough one. Okay, so that's the Champions League. Take a deep breath, because you've got lots of groups to go through for the Europa League.
Right, Europa League. I'm going to say in advance, apologies if I say any of these wrong, because half these, I'm not going to lie, I haven't heard of all of them. Group A, Manchester United, Fenerbahce, Feyenoord, and Zorya from Ukraine. Group B, Olympiacos, Apoel, Young Boys, and Astana. That's the Kazakhstani team. Group C, Anderlecht, Saint-Etienne, Mans, and Kabbalah, who are from Azerbaijan, I think.
Yes.
Group D, Zenit, AZ Alkmaar, Tel Aviv, and Dundalk. Dundalk got themselves through to the group stage, so well done them, very impressive. Group E, Pleasant, Roma, who will be very disappointed to be in the Europa League, Austria Wien, and Astra. Group F, Bilbao, Genk, Rapid Wien, and Sassuolo. SAS doing very well in Europe. Got themselves through to the group stages, very happy with that. Group G, Ajax, disappointed to be back in the Europa League, Standard Liège, Celta, and Panathinaikos. Group H, yes, there's more to come, don't worry. Shakhtar, Braga, Ghent, and Konyaspor. Group I didn't know groups went up this high. Schalke, Salzburg, Krasnodar, and Nice. Group J, Fiorentina, PAOK from Greece, Liberec, Karabag, also from Azerbaijan. Group K, Inter, Sparta Praha, Southampton, and Beersheva. Is that how? That's
the
one, Beersheva. Yep.
And lastly, Group L, Villarreal, Steaua, Zurich, and Osmanlispor. Yeah. There's a lot of teams in the Europa League. Wow.
There is a lot of teams. Well, thank you for that, John. And of course, if you are new to this podcast, you won't be aware, but myself and John usually do what we call the Satchel, which is our little roundup of the Champions League and Europa Leagues throughout the season. We usually do one after each weeks of group games, so usually sort of on the Thursday after a Europa League week. We'll cover them, and I think Ross is going to join us for a few this year, because his beloved Southampton are, of course, in the Europa League. So do tune in for those. We will, of course, post those when they're up and ready to go. So
some exciting groups there. A couple of and in the Europa League as well. You know, big teams in there. Obviously, Man United being in there is huge, and obviously the few teams from Italy. The Spanish team's always very good as well. So I know the Europa League sort of gets ridiculed a little bit, especially in the group stages, because there are so many teams in it. But once you get out of that phase of the competition, it does get really exciting and very competitive, and there's always good games to watch.
Yeah, we'll be good. We'll be good this year, and Champions League, of course, is what everyone wants to win. But the Europa League has certainly got a lot of good sides in it, so we will be across that as it progresses. Right then, let's move on then, and it's for the first time this season. We're bringing it back. It's this week's and the first of the new season's Hipsters' Choice. Right then, so this week, as we mentioned last week, we're delving into Germany via Turkey, if you will, because this week's Hipster's Choice is Borussia Dortmund's Emre Mor. So what do we know about Emre Mor? Rattling through a few things for you then. So he was born on July the 24th, 1997, which makes him 19. I know, sickening. He was born in a place called Brunschau in Denmark, of Turkish Macedonian descent. He's 5'6", which is a good height, I'm reliably informed. Not that that's my height at all. 139 pounds, and he's classed as a winger. He's left-footed, and he is a client of Nike. He wears their Mercurial Vapor footwear. So he is on Twitter. You can stalk him, although he's not verified. He's at EmreMore29. He's also Emre.More9 on Instagram. So yes, do go and have a stalk of him. He came through the district in Copenhagen in Denmark to a Turkish father, Macedonian mother. Spent 9 years in the youth academy of Lyngby BK, playing at both under 17 and 19 levels before being released in January 2015. It was then that he was signed by FC Nordsjælland, who Southampton fans will be familiar with, in the Danish Super League, and was promoted to the first team in 2016 after making his debut the previous November. And he went on to make 13 senior appearances, scoring 2 goals and 2 assists for the club, but it was a spectacular solo goal versus Copenhagen that made the headlines, and he attracted interest for some of Europe's top clubs. And on June the 7th, 2016, Dortmund announced that they were going to be signing Moore for 16 million euros on a 5-year contract as Tuchel looked to rebuild his squad after losing some of his key players. Of the signing, Dortmund sporting director Michael Zorg said Emre Mor is highly gifted and versatile young player with huge potential for development. In addition to being signed for one of Europe's biggest clubs, Moore was somewhat of a surprise, I should say. His inclusion in the Turkey Euro 26 squad, making him the 3rd youngest player at the tournament. He's played for Denmark under 17 and under 19 levels, as you mentioned before, but he opted to play for the Turkey under 21s. He's eligible through his father, and he was called up to the senior squad for the international friendly against Macedonia after being named in the 23-man roster. In Euro 2016 himself, he was substituted in, I should say, as a lone striker in the 69th minute of Turkey's game in a 1-0 loss to Croatia. He was also an unused sub in the second game, a 3-0 defeat to Spain, but started Turkey's final group game, a 2-0 victory over the Czech Republic, on the right-hand side of midfield. And he actually provided the assist for Burak Yilmaz in the 10th minute. As far as Borussia Dortmund goes then, his significant changes over the summer for Dortmund, so he'll be figuring out his sort of place at the team there. But coming on at right midfield for Adrian Ramos in the 4-1 victory over Manchester United certainly displayed some of the things that he can do, and he also came on against Bayern Munich as a substitute for Aubameyang in the 2-0 loss to Bayern Munich in that German Super League, Super Cup game, I should say. It was Dortmund's first league game of the season this past weekend, as Drew mentioned, a 2-1 victory over Mainz. He was actually an unused substitute, but we'll be seeing plenty more from him, I would suspect. He's a right winger by trade. His technical ability is instantly recognisable. He's fearless with his attacking runs, and he's set to make an immediate comparison with the likes of Frank Ribery and Xherdan Shaqiri, just in the way he's built and his kind of power and cockiness on the ball, and is of course complemented by his youth. And though he's most effective on the wings, he can also play as a number 9. He's been dubbed the Turkish Messi, so no pressure there. And his main attributes is extremely quick and can change direction, as well as making him unpredictable. And of himself, the player himself has said, when I'm in the right mood, I feel I'm capable of practically anything. As I've gone from a bad start to a game, and then I've got progressively better. I may get down a bit and ask to be substituted. When I'm in a bad mood, I use that in a bad way. I can be at my own worst enemy, but it's something I have to become better at handling, which I now use in a positive way. So make of that what you will. Hopefully it's something he can work at as he matures. So that is Emre Mor. I'll just get a very quick overview from Drew, because of course he will be the one that's likely to be watching him this season. So Drew, excited by the signing of Mr. Mor?
I think it's another really good long-term signing Dortmund made, but it's hard to see where he'll fit in immediately into the first team. I think Thomas Tuchel's going to be a little bit better at squad rotation this year. Dortmund have such a wealth of attacking players to choose from. I think he's done that intentionally. I think there are times last season where he was forced to play the same players despite the European campaign, and I thought sometimes tired legs showed. So he brought in a couple of good young players. He also brought in Andre Schürrle. You still have Christian Pulisic, who is still there. Felix Paslick is now fully promoted into the first team. But then you also have, Ousmane Dembele came in, Mario Götze came back. So there's a lot of attacking options there. I think he'll rotate. I think Moore will get some time, but he's obviously not going to be first choice. But it's another good long-term signing. I think it's going to be interesting because, in recent seasons, Dortmund have had this habit of selling their best players every summer. So you never know. Say, for example, next summer, say for some reason Marco Reus goes. You already have good young players already there, ready to just come in. They're already bedded into the team. I think Moore could be one of those players. I don't think he's going to be leaving anytime soon. I think the attributes he does fit Tuchel tactically. So I'm excited to see him play when he gets to play. But it's going to be one of those issues where, if he doesn't play, the club just, might try to loan him if they're not going to not going to get him in frequently. Try to loan him, give him some first team football for a while, maybe for the first half of the season, and then reassess him, and then see where it goes from there. But I am pleased with it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think he'll be a great success. So we will, of course, keep our eye on him. And as usual, if you want to check out all of the Hipsters' choices, they will be available on our website. We upload the time checks, basically the podcast, with a little image of the player on our website, so you can easily keep in touch with those players we've named previously. We've had quite a good success rate so far. Last year, I think we had Asensio, we had Renato Sanchez. We had quite a few, didn't we, that came good. So yes. We'll try and keep ahead of the curve as far as future stars go. And our thanks to Kelly, as usual, for compiling our notes. Much appreciated. Right then, let's wrap up this week's podcast then with the usual way. And it's this week's listeners' questions. It is the onion bag. Right, gentlemen, in the interest of time and our new format, I will ask you to give me very short, sharp answers to these questions. I'm going to select some of the best of what we've had in. So apologies if you haven't got your question answered this week, but keep sending them in and we will get to them eventually. But we don't want to bore you with long podcasts. So we're going to whip through these. Tom, you're up first. This question comes in from Martin Morgan at Welshgooner95. How will Valencia cope this season after all their departures? Alcacer, Gomez, Mustafi, Barragan, Fuego, Feguli, etc.
They won't.
Good. Let's move. You don't hold much high hopes then.
No, I don't. I really don't. And the main thing for me is about the fact that they haven't changed their manager either. They've kept on with Paco, and for me it's not good enough. And I mean, from what they've brought in, they've sold an astonishing amount of from money. It's 70 million over what they've sold, and they've only spent around 8.5 million on Nani and Medran from Real Madrid and Fenerbahce. So I can't see them, and I actually predicted them from a decent finish, and I'm regretting doing that now. But it'll come down to the youngsters, like sort of Santimina and whatnot, if they can perform and get them up. But I don't hold them in high regard for this season whatsoever.
No. What about one of their players then? This is a question from Gavin Adams at Gavin Adams 3. Surely if Barcelona needed somebody to keep their bench warm, an academy player could have been better rather than Alcacer. Your thoughts, and also why are they letting Munir go?
Well, is that what you've heard? I haven't seen that.
That's the talk, that he's going to be farmed off to somebody on loan in this window at some point.
Oh, it's interesting because from one of our previous guests, Graham Hunter, I sent a link, which Drew was held in very high regard, this article about the history of the La Masia and whatnot, and a lot is riding on the shoulders of Munir, and if he is to succeed, then that shows that La Masia is working. If he doesn't, then it's been a long time since, other than the likes of Sergio Roberto, where players come through and done the business. So to bring in Alcacer is just another showing of bringing in a young player like I did Neymar, to come in and perform. Obviously, we saw last season they were so poor during the part of the second half of last season. The reason they went out of the Champions League to Atletico Madrid was a lot down to fatigue and a small squad size. So bringing in Alcacer is decent. In terms of why they don't bring in a youngster, is simply because of the fact that it is Munir, and obviously they've let Sandro go off to Malaga for a permanent deal, I believe it was, and they just don't have the quality to back it up. Unlike Real Madrid, who've now got, if you take out Benzema, Ronaldo and Bale, they've got Morata, Lucas Vazquez and Asensio to be a front three, which is very decent. And Barcelona just don't have that depth. They're playing Arda Turan at the moment while Neymar's been at the Olympics. He's performed well, but their depth is just not strong enough.
Yeah, tough season ahead for them, we think, so, or certainly those players. Kat chimed in with asking how Drew thinks Hummels will look in his new kit. We'll skip over that one.
I'm going to kill her when I talk to her later.
Thought as much. There was another question which was kind of for Tom, but he addressed it. It was from Banter Era at that Flyguna. He wanted to know the thoughts on Perez and Mustafi. So we've covered Perez. So Drew, just very quickly, your thoughts on Mustafi. Will he be a success, yay or nay?
I mean, short answer, yes.
That's good enough for me.
Do you want me to expound on that? Because I will.
Just tell me why you think he'll suit the Premier League. That'll do me.
I think he's got some pace about him for a centre back. He's not lightning fast, but he's got more pace than Mertesacker. I think he's about equal with Gabriel, but I think he's very good in the air. He's smart in the tackle. He reads the game well, and he's a full German international. I feel like. Tom can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he did quite well for a Valencia side who just gave up so many chances last season. And he had a very high amount of interceptions as well for a center back. And I think that's something we need at the back for Arsenal because Koscielny seems to be the only center back we have that can do that consistently. I think if Mustafi can come in and do that, I think that's a very, very good partnership that we can have, and I don't think we've had one that's been that good since maybe Mertesacker first came in. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. He'll have to have that adjustment period, obviously, to get better into the team and get up to the scratch with the pace of the league, but I think it's going to be a good one.
Good, like it. Now, this next question I'm going to ask now and get your answers in a second because I'm going to go to John first. So I'm just going to give you all a heads up. Somebody wants to know about who are the best up-and-coming strikers from your respective leagues. I'm going to take two names and two names only from each of you in a minute, but I'll be back with that one.
Okay.
In the meantime, John, I've got one from you. This one comes in from some bloke called Simon Collins. Never heard of him. How does Gabigol fit with Inter, with Icardi? Can they play together?
Yeah, I think so. I'll freely admit, the first time I ever saw him play was this summer during the Olympics, and I was really excited by what I saw at the time before Arsenal had signed anyone. We were sort of scrambling around thinking who we could get up front. I was throwing his name in just because I thought, he looks quite good, and he'd been talked about. But from other people I've spoken to who've watched him more and seen a lot more of him, he can play as a striker, but he can also play on either wing. And just what you get typically with Brazilian forwards is that it's not just goals that they score; they create as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he sort of played as a second striker off of Icardi and sometimes used wide. What that would mean for Banega, maybe he drops back a little bit, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. There's talk of Brozovic leaving, possibly Inter, so if Banega is put a little bit deeper, it means you've got someone there who can really spray the ball around well, put someone defensive next to him, and then having Gabigol in front with just Icardi ahead of that sounds very exciting for me. But having those extra options of Perisic, Candreva, and Gabigol with someone else who can also play wide, also not forgetting that you've got Eder there as well, looks really good. So I'm very excited to see what he can do playing with Icardi.
Good stuff. And very quickly, Bobby Chakraborty also asked at Boblex, do you think Joe Hart will go abroad or stay in England? We know now that he's probably going to go to Torino.
Yeah, looks like that's going through.
Looks like it's happening tonight, doesn't it? So at the time of recording, anyway. One word answer: success or failure?
I think he'll do really well there. I think it's something English players in particular in sort of the last 10-15 years since the Premier League's really got loads of money have been guilty of not going abroad enough, not just broadening their horizons culturally but learning from different coaches and different coaching styles. Joe Hart is a bit different because he's older, and being a goalkeeper I suppose the techniques aren't too dissimilar, but for outfield players in particular it's something I'd like to see a lot more young English players do, because they certainly always get offers but they don't seem to take them. So I think it'll work out really well, and Torino were a club that are trying to improve on season on. So
fair enough. That's the longest one-word answer I've ever heard, but I'll let you off. And one other question that's just come in, which you'll also get a little bit of time for while I ask Tom one more. Somebody wants to know one young talent per league to worth looking at this season, so keep that one in your back pocket. Final question before I come back then is to Tom at Goner Outpost, our good friend. Who is the Mainz of La Liga, and can Villarreal rebuild?
Or Villarreal, it's going to be tough for them to rebuild. Obviously, their traumatic experience this summer with whoever losing Bailey, losing Marcelino as manager. They're in an awful position to face Monaco, and then eventually lost to them, and they're qualified for the Champions League, so they'll drop into Europa. So they'll have more games with travels further away. So it's going to be tough for them. Pato's come in. I think he came off injured actually in their game against Sevilla as well, so that didn't help. So can they rebuild? There's potential to do that, but I don't think they'll be as high as fourth this season. I think they'll be more, could struggle to even get Europe with how the other teams are doing at the moment. But who's the Mainz? Oh well, it changes every year to be honest. Obviously last season we saw Celta Vigo come up and do well and finish in Europe. To be fair, it's probably a bit better than Mainz in fact. But this season, off the basis, you could say Las Palmas scoring 9 goals. I haven't said Mainz scored 9 goals in 2 matches, but I mean, it could be them. There's a lot of potential for loads of other teams. I would have said Espanyol personally, based on who they've signed and the potential they've got for this season. But off their first 2 results, it's changed. But you know what? I'll stick with it. Yeah, I'll go Espanyol. Why not? Because I've got to support someone.
Like it. Good stuff. Okay, super. Right then. So we'll finish with these other 2 questions that we've just had in then. So I hope you've got some answers. I'm frantically trying to think of some myself. So the first question that I mentioned was from Emmanuel Davila at Emmanuel C. Davila. So these lack of world-class strikers, who's the best up-and-coming strikers from your respective leagues? So I just want 2 names. That's it. Just 2 names for you both. I'll start with Drew.
So, okay. Johannes Eggestein from Werder Bremen. I mean, it's tough to run out of superlatives for him. For me, I think he's the best up-and-coming young German striker, and he could solve the center-forward problem once he's ready. He's still quite young. He's not even 20 years old yet. I do believe he's 19. Apart from that, I like Davy Selke a lot at RB Leipzig. So he was also... I think he's at Werder Bremen before as well, and then he moved on, and now he was excellent for them last season. He's a good all-round center forward. So look for him to maybe put his name in the hat for who they can hopefully solve the center forward question for temporarily, because everyone's looking at the likes of Kevin Volland and whatnot, but Selke could be in for a kind of an underhanded way into the German squad if he proves himself early doors in the campaign. So I'll go with those 2.
Okay, cool. So those names again. So Davy Selke and
Johannes Eggestein.
Johannes Eggestein. Cool. Okay, Tom, 2 from Spain from you.
Yeah, I'll go with Antonio Sanabria, who's at Real Betis. They signed for around 6 million from Roma this summer. Spent last season on loan Sporting Gijon, did very well. Looks exciting, still quite raw. 20 years old and up and coming, but I think he's got a lot of potential to be quite big. And the other one I'm going to go for, which can be misconstrued as a winger, but after speaking in our interview to Rob, who's an Athletic Bilbao fan, I'll go Iñaki Williams, who, from what he said to me, seems like they're pushing him towards to be the new Adariz replacement as a striker as he progresses and develops. So yeah, Iñaki Williams, the other one.
Super. Two names, one that you'll be very familiar with and one that you soon will be, I think. John, what about you? Italy, who have we got?
It's quite easy. Andrea Bellotti obviously got the hat-trick at the weekend for Torino. Hopefully for Italy, will be the next big thing. Obviously, a lot of people know about him already. The other one is Matteo Politano. He's at Sassuolo. He got, I think it was 4 or 5 goals last season. He's 23, so he's a little bit older, but he was a Roma youth product. So hopefully see a bit more of him this season. Decent player who I think hopefully will push on. Maybe a late bloomer.
Super. Okay. I guess that leaves me. I've picked out 2 completely hipsters choices. You won't be surprised from Liga. I'm going to go with Monaco's Tiamui Bakayoko, who's only a youngster breaking through into the side. He broke through kind of last year, but I think he'll get a lot more football this season, depending on how Falcao's knees last. So he probably means he'll play every week. Really exciting. He's a France under-21 international. I believe his roots are in the Ivory Coast. But very, very good little player. Strong, powerful, quick, direct. I like him a lot. And the other one, you won't know a lot about this lad, I don't think. It's Marcos Coco He's currently playing for Guingamp. He's again big, sturdy centre forward. Again, only 19 years of age. He's powerful. He's quite a strong hold-up player. Very skillful actually, and makes exceptionally good runs. And he's very decent in the air. So he's one that I would definitely keep an eye on. So that's the two I am going to go with from Ligue 1. So hopefully that answers your question. Right, the final question then, and this is the final question because we've gone way too long. Never mind, I'm sure our listeners will let us off. It comes from Brian Donaldson, or at Donaldson_Brian. Can you name one young talent per league to watch out for this season? I'll give you all one sentence and one sentence only and one player. John, let's start with you in Italy.
Marco Piacca. Saw him at the Euros, fantastic. Made his debut this weekend, almost scored. Brilliant winger, great feet. Gonna be amazing.
Croatian as well, isn't he?
There we go, sorry.
Beautiful, love it. Drew, what about you?
Ousmane Dembele, I think.
Yeah.
How well he performed at such a young age in the French league, looking to kick on under an attacking-minded manager like Tuchel. I think the right side for him is for the taking if he performs well. So yeah.
Good shout. And Tom from La Liga?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Dear.
Sorry, I've been reading about Jack Wilshere going online.
One player from your league, basically, that is a real young talent to look out for this season.
Marco Asensio. That was pretty straightforward. Real Madrid. He was on loan at Espanyol last season. Brilliant player. Great assisting. Still a little bit raw. Needs to finish his shooting and get that up to scratch. But he's shown he can do it in attacking midfield roles. He's now playing in the Ronaldo position while he's injured and performing very well. Doesn't look out of place in that Real Madrid side whatsoever. And just been called up for the Spain squad as I aforementioned. So yeah, Asensio.
Splendid. And I'll round us off. I've mentioned him before in this parish, but I'll mention him again. And he is Clement Lenglet of AS Nancy, centre-back, future French international, in my opinion. He's only 20 years of age. He's the captain of what was one of the biggest sides in Ligue 2. He's obviously now promoted. Strong, handles himself very well. Very decent on the ball, plays out from defence. I could definitely see him working his way into the sort of the Guardiola-esque clubs at some point. I think he's in for a big move if he does well this season. So he's definitely one that I'd like to keep an eye on myself. So there's a name from me. Right, that is it then, gentlemen. That is it. We have been set some homework by our good friend Jimmy, which I'm gonna leave quiet. I'm not going to tell you on air about it. I'm going to tell our hipsters off air. But it's very good. So thank you, Jimmy. You get, because it will keep us busy. But a little shout to Jimmy for that one. So thank you very much. Right, that is everything. The final plug from us is just a reminder. We have a GoFundMe page. Yes, that's GoFundMe. You can reach that to give us a little donation if you are happy to do so. It's so we can get SoundCloud basically, and so we can pay the bills to keep the lights on. We have made £73 so far of our £200 goal. Aforementioned Brian Donaldson, Amir Lekal, Pete Kennelly, Adam Mansour, and a certain person who wants to remain nameless, but we like him very much and he knows who he is, has also donated as well. So thank you very much to those people. If you want to donate to us, just go to the GoFundMe page, search the Football Hipsters. There will be a link on our Twitter account which you can follow as well, and you can share a donation if you have a few pennies. If you don't, no problem. If you do, thank you very much. So that's our donation page, and our thanks as usual goes to, as mentioned before, Kelly, to Var, to Kat and to Gaz, who work behind the scenes to make this podcast possible. And of course, thank you to my panelists. So thank you very much to Drew.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much to John.
Thank you.
And thank you very much to Tom.
No worries.
You can follow us at the FH Podcast on Twitter. We have a YouTube page. We have an iTunes page. Do subscribe. Do like us. Enjoy your football. Try not to miss us during the international break. And whoever you support, we hope you get the transfer that you're desperate for before the end of deadline day. We have been the Football Hipsters Podcast. Keep your ears strong and your glasses trendy. And that is it for week 3. We will see you again in a fortnight's time.